everyone. A warm welcome to Nerdy Optometrist, a podcast channel for all things optometry. And this is your host, Ukti Bora. Are you all bombarded with information of how important it is to incorporate technology into your practice and how important it is to provide more specialty care to enhance the scope of your practice? Well, I'm sure we're all ready to start using them, but it can be overwhelming. Well, don't worry, I've got you covered. I would like to highlight Eyeli's all in one app that leverages technology to instantly enhance the skill set of eye care practitioners by enabling them to do more tests in less time through automation. The app incorporates comprehensive electronic health record system so that you have all your information in one place, along with features for myopia management, digital tests, analysis, and treatment for binocular vision. Eyeli is the clinical assistant you've always been looking out for. Irrespective of the level of practice you are in, it has simple steps and tools that will help you easily incorporate it without use of heavy equipments or additional training. It is something that will help you streamline your current process and procedures. I highly recommend all of you to visit eyeli.com and sign up for your free trial. Let's start future proofing your practice today. A huge shout out and thank you to Eyeli for supporting this podcast episode. With that, let's get started. Steve Jobs once said, "The ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do." Today we have someone who is now officially called Mr. Optometrist. So it is our first podcast recording Nerdy Optometrist with Mr. Optometrist, and he is very well known not just in India but internationally, Mr. Yeshwant Saoji. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to do my routine of giving him a quick introduction about his journey. He graduated from the third batch of Elite School of Optometry and immediately joined a fellowship from LV Prasad Eye Institute, which he graduated in '92. Getting into education accidentally, he joined ICL, and since then he's been part of the ICL forever, and he's a lifetime fellow. Not just being part of it, he's also a contributor toward the education side of ICL. Talking about awards, he has a list that goes on. To name a few, he's been awarded as the Best Optometrist Award by the Institute Shankara Netralaya. He's also been awarded as a Legend by Optometry from Students Association of AIMS, and also the Alumnus of the Year by LV Prasad Eye Institute. He not only has contributed in education, but has also started something Masterclass Optometry and Knowledge Fest, one of the most talked optometry fun fest, which I have been privileged to be part of as well. He is recognized as BPOC's ambassador for his work on myopia awareness in India by the International Association of Orthokeratology and Myopia Control. He has lectured extensively and worked closely with all the contact lens companies you can talk about: J&J, BNL, Alcon, Paragon, CRT, and so on. He is the first one to start Rosque and Paragon CRT lens fitting in India. And not just that, he's now even a celebrity because he recently recorded a video trying to create awareness about myopia in India. So with that, thank you so much, Yeshwant sir, for being part of this podcast, and a warm welcome.
Namaste. What a great Monday morning for me. I'm so excited to be on Nerdy Optometrist after a long discussion with Ukti. So
I know.
Beautiful beginning to this week.
I know. We've been going back and forth for almost six months, if not less.
Yes. I'm so sorry about that.
No, absolutely not. This definitely shows how busy you are, but it's going to be a huge fun discussion because now this is the one where you're not going to give any lectures. You're not going to ask you to talk anything about myopia because that's what probably you've been asked to talk for the last almost a year and a half now, if not more. Like you've been constantly going around giving webinars. So
I'm a bit nervous because, I'm always on the other side of the table. I ask questions. So this is the first time somebody is asking me questions.
So that's good. Okay, all the firsts are amazing, and I will always like to be on this side of the table, to be honest.
Okay.
So as I know, you've been busy talking about myopia, this is going to be different. So we're going to try and stick to talk only about your practice and more about your journey. So to start with, we have all known you as Yeshwant Saoji sir with a very successful optometry practice. But before we even get into that, how did you bump into this profession? Was optometry something you had always known you were going to do, or was it your dream? How did your journey start?
See, normally, if I have to ask you a question, which year of optometry we learn about contact lens? Probably, I think contact lens starts about second or third year. I
Right.
knew everything about contact lens when I was in my standard seventh.
Okay.
That's because my father has got a contact lens practice and he's an exclusive contact lens person. So his
Okay.
clinic basically in earlier days, people used to call him contactologist. That term somehow never really caught on. But exclusive contact lens practice, not even refraction, no glasses, nothing. So contact lens was in my blood. And I
Mhm.
used to train patients in wearing and handling contact lens since the time I was in sixth or seventh standard.
Okay.
So naturally, I've grown up seeing my father as an optometrist, as a very successful contactologist. So I decided, okay, contact lenses, it's going to be my bread and butter. But later on, of course, I diversified into optometry. But initially, it was only exclusive contact lens practice.
So that's interesting. You already had a heritage which you had to kind of, work and build on, and you have done very successfully. So as people say, oh, you know what, you already had optometry or contact lens practice, was it easy for you to just uh, work towards it? Or how was your struggle in the early days when, because I know even when I graduated, which was much, much later than 2008, even till then people didn't know what optometry was, but you did it in like 92. So how did it all start by even educating people what optometry is or who an optometrist is?
Okay, it's actually a very easy formula that I applied in my practice. When optometrists graduate out of optometry school, and when the patients address them as doctors, they feel happy about it, right?
Right.
But in India, if you start telling patients that you're not a doctor, then the second automatic question is, then who the hell are you? And that gives you a chance to explain what optometrist is. And
Right.
after that, the patient is yours forever. In fact, I remember the first brochure that I designed for my practice, I had one whole page dedicated to optometry profession. And I encourage the parents to send their children for optometry in India because there are so many courses wherein, people somehow don't know what optometry is. So they
Yeah.
have difficulty in getting candidates. So I was
Right.
promoting optometry as a good education field after their 12th standard.
That's actually fantastic, and I have to point out for everyone who already has a practice or is planning to do, he has a very cool poster in his clinic, which I'm obsessed with. Do you want me to tell, or you want to talk about
Oh,
it?
you can say it.
So he has this amazing cool poster I haven't visited his clinic, but I've just seen that image which says, if you don't know what optometrist is, Google it. I love that. I have never
Google
thought
now.
of it. Yeah, Google now actually. So
Yeah.
how
So
who came
actually,
up with that idea?
Utthi, this has been so successful that people sit there on the sofa set, waiting for their turn to come inside the consulting room, and they Google what an optometrist is, and they come in, and the first thing they say is, you know what, henceforth we are only going to visit an optometrist. So it's a very easy way of propagating what an optometry and optometrist and optometry practice are.
Right, absolutely. So you already had your father who was into this practice, and you said like you had to now build on it and grow your practice. Was it really challenging? Because some people feel, oh, it was easy for you compared to other, but I want to know from your side, was it really difficult to even then or now promote yourself as an optometry clinic? How was that process?
Well, it was not easy, but it was not difficult also because I was very confident about my knowledge and my skills. And remember, my dad comes from an era wherein the conventional lenses were the only option available, right?
Right.
So shifting patients from conventional to disposable, moving on to specialty contact lens practice, which was non-existing back then. So it did take some amount of effort. And normally we have this thing in India, your father is not there, then we would like to reschedule the appointment and you come again when your father is there. So people don't want to accept juniors.
Right.
And during that time, it just happened that I got a job in Abu Dhabi and I went there and I worked there for 2 years. And actually, that drained on my clinical skills because all I was doing was a refraction and maybe basic contact lens. But when I came back from there and I started telling my patients, I just came back from Abu Dhabi, and they said, okay, foreign return. So he's the guy we need to go to. And that actually worked out in my favor, and the practice just got going from there.
That's a good twist, though you had probably the same skills.
No,
But
in fact, my skills were rusty. When I came back from Abu Dhabi, my skills were rusty. I was much better optometrist when I freshly graduated from optometry school.
so now talking about optometrist, and I actually want to specify this topic and spend a little time here. You say when you graduated as an optometrist, your skills were at the par or at the peak, and then when you go into a setup, you are molded to do certain things in certain ways, especially if you're working in an optical or in a hospital or a private practice. It all changes, but you clinged on to your core, and that's what you're practicing. So what, according to you, and the reason I'm talking is I know many people do struggle to find their space and feel, oh, if I still remain a true optometrist, I won't be successful. So what, according to you, is needed when an optometrist is starting his clinic or a setup?
Well, you just need to be passionate about optometry. The required skills are already got from the optometry school. And you very rightly said, people want to do something else other than optometry because they feel they may not be recognized by the patients as optometrists. So that actually works out in my favor because I stand out then. I'm the
Yes.
lone optometrist, and others try to behave like an optician or an ophthalmologist. So I
Right.
think if you just stick to optometry, then you succeed. But optometry is not only about refractions.
Mhm.
Optometry is like complete optometry.
Right.
So if you have a clinic, I mean, how many clinics do you have which are proper optometry clinics in India? You can just count them on fingers.
Right. Sadly
You know,
enough,
I
you
was,
can actually
I
count them on
was,
fingers.
yeah. So I was asked this question in another forum. How many of competitors do you have? I said name one, and they could not think of one name.
So when you see this happening, and it is a sad truth where people actually end up opening optical outlets just because they feel it's easy, it's more money. It's not that you're not earning money or you're not making money, right, with whatever you do. How do you encourage people to start optometry clinic and not just opticians? What are your tips for that?
No, see, you're very right in saying, the money is there in optical dispensing. So my only success mantra to any optometrist would be rather than having an optical clinic or rather than having an optometry clinic in an optical shop, you have an optical shop in an optometry clinic.
Right.
And then you can progress as an optometrist. So people dedicate 90% of space to spectacle frames and sunglasses, and they have one cramped up place under the staircase, which is their optometry clinic. So patients are not going to listen to you. Then
Mhm.
you're an optician. You want to be a professional, your room should look like a professional consulting room. And
Right.
mind my words, okay, I would like to use your forum to tell people that another 5 years or possibly even 3 years, money from optical dispensing to a private optometrist is really going to go down. Because today, if I have to spend 50,000 rupees, I would not come to my practice. I would rather
Right.
go to a youth swanky store.
Right.
So, which is our core area? Which is our area of expertise? That's optometry consultations. And
Right.
that is going to help optometrists to grow.
Absolutely. And I think it's true. And I've seen because I used to practice back in India too, as soon as the chain optical started coming up, right? Everybody started feeling a threat because you're trying to mimic something which is a bigger organization. They have money, they funds, and you're an independent practitioner. So it's not that you won't make money, but yes, you will feel threat. I have also heard, not just from you, even from Prasad Sawant sir, that I am more secure and safe because I have an optometry clinic. I'm not competing with
Yes.
opticians. And talking about optometry clinic, it's not just that you do charity, you charge your patients your
You
consultation
do.
at a paid consultation, which again is breaking a lot of barriers, even in the mindset, because people feel my patients don't pay. And why will they pay if someone is giving a free eye exam next quarter? So what do you have to talk about that?
Well, there are about 5 optical stores and all branded and good names who are surrounding my practice and they offer free consultation. And there are so many ophthalmologists in the vicinity, their consulting charges are lesser than mine. My charges are pretty high, okay? And but the thing is, I justify those charges not only to myself but to my patients also. So when they get their money's worth, then they come to me.
Right.
So today, if you see how many people complain about my consulting charges in a year, possibly not even one. It's going to be a very rare occurrence that people hesitate paying your consultation fees. See, people don't, it's not that people want it free of cost. There are people who are willing to pay and people who are willing to pay a high price, but they should get their money's worth.
Right.
What few of us do, we tend to do basic refraction and we want to charge 500 rupees or 1000 rupees. That doesn't happen. Then you
Right.
have to do a proper professional examination, right? There is one optometrist in India who's charging 2000 rupees consultation. And that is my next target now. It's not about earning money, but it's about delivering that level of service wherein I can command 2000 rupees as my consulting fees.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that has been a trend that people are probably not really aware of. And that what even happens even with doctors, where even if you take ophthalmologist, right? There are some ophthalmologists who might charge 500 rupees or say 1000 rupees for their consultation. They are probably the same doctor, same qualifications, but why do they get patients of both those categories? Because it depends on the service, the facilities, the art of the service that they provide. So it all depends what are you giving value for their money, and people will pay for it.
Another thing to add at the same time, I don't, just because a patient cannot pay my consulting fees, I don't refuse that patient. I would forward all the concessions required for the required set of population. So I do social service also, but my minimum charges are 10 rupees. So they have to pay 10 rupees, how much ever poor you are. So you
Got
pay me
it.
10 rupees, you get the same quality of eye exam.
And that is brilliant. And I know we've been discussing this a lot of time, that even a plumber or an electrician charges their service fee. Why don't we do it? This is being discussed, I think, multiple times on multiple forums, but people still feel they are competing with a next door optical, and everybody is giving free eye exams. To be honest, nothing is free in this world. So
Very true. Very true.
but I loved how you said you can pay me 10 rupees. I don't care what the money is, but you have to pay for the service.
You have to pay, that is for sure.
That's actually a very, very good takeaway. Like, charge your service. And it's just not respect to yourself or your profession, but also respectful for the patient, that you are giving them what they've asked for. And very important, doesn't matter how much they pay, not to compromise the care or the service. I think that is phenomenal. Now you have an optometry practice, which we all have talked about. I want to know, how does your day in your optometric practice looks like? Most of them, the reason I ask is I know most of them who are not from India might feel, why is she asking this question? Is because in India, majority of them who don't have optometry practice, they go in, get a refraction, come out, buy glasses and go away. But I know that your practice is different. And for all those trying to venture into this optometry practice, we'd like to know, how does your optometry day look like?
Well, it's pretty much the same with a little bit of twist. People come here, get their refraction done.
Mm-hmm.
To start with, my refraction is completely different from maybe 70% of the refraction being done outside, because we do complete binocular vision assessment, and we go at lengths in examining the patient's eye for suitability of contact lens. Okay, so we spend considerable amount of time, and sometimes the examination can go up to 1.5 hours also per patient.
Wow.
So that's the first difference. The second difference is, let's say it's a simple case, he just has to buy glasses. Now, in my practice, the patient is not allowed to select glasses on their own. So after the refraction is done, then I sit and counsel the patient regarding what kind of spectacle glass or spectacle lens design that he should opt for. And then he goes outside in the dispensing area and he selects maybe about 4 or 5 frames to his liking. But the final frame is decided by me. And of course, we take into account what the patient's interests are, patient's liking are. But then in case of some patient says, I want this particular frame with this particular glass, then I would rather tell them to go outside and buy in an optical shop where he can save money. Because over here, he is paying my consulting fees for allowing me to decide for him what is best for him. And we stand by our recommendation in a sense that for some reason, if the patient does not like it, then we take the glass back and we exchange it to something that is of his liking. As optometrist opti, I feel that we can visualize what the complete pair of specs would look like, as opposed to what patient sees is only the spectacle frame.
Right. And I think this is phenomenal, because I have not encountered any such practice. And I know even in in practices, say whether you're talking about the chains where they do have an eye exam area where they ask optometrists to wear white coat and things, but still they have always seen it as two departments. One is you just do your refraction and that's where your job ends, or you can at the most recommend what lenses or frames would work, but then it's a sales team's job to give them the most expensive or the best lens option and the frame that's available. You are not qualified enough to sell frames and lenses, so you're not supposed to do it. And that's how it has been done, right? Like, okay, this is what I have said, I have advised, but that's it. I'm not supposed to talk anything beyond that. And when you say about optometry practice, you're talking about end-to-end solution for the patient. It's not just this is not my job, this
Yes.
is not my
Yes.
recommendation, or this is not what I do. And I think this is a very important takeaway message, especially when you have such a busy day, you still make time for every patient in making sure that their entire exam or their experience is customized. It's not something that they'll find
Yes.
anywhere else they go. So I think this was great. Another thing which I want to talk about is you have a very unique program where you have optometry students come and see and learn, and you have that internship process in your clinic. How has that experience been for you, and what encouraged you to even start that?
Well, it started in the initial years of Bharti Vidyapeeth, because Bharti Vidyapeeth was not very well equipped with having a proper hospital setup that time when we started optometry school. So I offered people can visit my practice and be an observer for maybe a couple of months. And from that couple of months, it became maybe 6 months or 9 months or 10 months, And now my center is recognized as an official internship center for Bharti Vidyapeeth. And we every year we have 2 students coming in. And that experience has been great because even people like to see so many 100% optometry oriented cases in the
Right.
practice. And I also enjoy teaching because somewhere I remain connected with optometry teachings. Earlier, I used to teach the students, then I moved on to practitioner education program. And now practitioner education programs have become less, so I have students in my clinic. So it's
Wonderful.
fun. It's fun.
So now talking about this, your clinic becoming a center is definitely very inspiring for young students for sure, because otherwise we're always been given internships mainly in hospitals or in opticals. You never have an optometry practice which gives you a sweet spot between both the spectrum of the practice, right? Now, when you talk about all this, what are the bigger mistakes or big mistakes you see people who might attempt to have an optometry practice but they fail, or what are according to you the biggest mistakes or potential mistakes when someone starts?
I think the biggest mistake and potential mistake is people still feel, the earning is through optical dispensing. So they want to devote maximum area to optical dispensing. Whereas, as I said earlier, also another 2, 3 years, things are going to be completely different. Your
Right.
clinical side is going to earn you more money. So concentrate in developing a 360-degree optometry practice rather than concentrating only on optical dispensing. And that is something which is very difficult for people to accept because currently everyone sees, this optician is prospering, that optician is prospering. So the money is there in spectacle frames and lenses.
Yes, money is
So
there, but we don't know
getting
how
over that is difficult.
Got it. And when we talk about, even specialty care, you have excelled. And it's not that you have stopped learning since, I would say, 91, 92 when you graduated. You're still learning, you're still writing courses, you're still bringing new technology in India. People, again, have these misconceptions that patient won't pay for whatever thousands of rupees of contact lenses. It doesn't exist. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, patients pay only if you show them what they're going to get in return. Earlier, I used to say the expense would be, and until I spoke to my friend from the US, Dr. Tom Arnold, he said before the patient even comes into my consulting room, the patient has to pay the consulting fees. So I was debating, when exactly to charge the consulting fees. And I thought that was the right approach. Patient has to pay you before he sees you. But then we have a little different way of dealing with the patient. We consult the patient, and only if the patient agrees to my charges and my method of working, then the patient pays the consulting fees. Whereas Dr. Chavan, he would just put the lens in the patient's eye and make the patient read 6/6. Now imagine a patient who's got complicated eye, okay, complicated cornea, irregular cornea, and patient can read 6/6 or 6/9. then the patient can pay 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, or whatever you charge him. So he believes in showing the results. So sometimes, I feel that your practice should not be this or that. Some patients you have to manage it this way, and some patients you have to manage it that way. There are patients who believe in counseling, and there are patients who believe in the results. So
Right.
people pay. People pay if you give them what they're spending for.
I think those are wonderful examples. Like some places, yes, maybe it would work that if you have established yourself in a way that you have to pay before you come in, or decide what is your approach, show the results first or explain them first. There are multiple options, but charge, and you will have people who will pay for the service.
Okay, just 1 minute. I would like to add something else. It's not only about charging. I mean, there have been many cases wherein the patient has paid us 80,000 for a pair of lens, and we have spent maybe 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs from our pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about every time you make profit. Specialty practices, one or two cases you make profit, then one case you make a loss. So you have to assess your earning from specialty practice every quarter. So 1 quarter you might end up making some profits, 1 quarter you might end up making a loss. So currently orthodontology, I think I'm doing the maximum cases in India, I think, and I'm minus about 2 lakhs or 2.5 lakhs. So I've not made any profit as such. I'm actually in loss because we are experimenting. We're getting lenses from so many different labs. We're designing lenses on so many different softwares. So it's a learning curve for me. So maybe tomorrow, 2020 or 22, I might earn money out of it. But sometimes, your practice goes in loss when you're in your learning phase. So that should not discourage you.
I think that's a great point, because many people do lose hope, or there's no money, I've got 2 losses, or 2 patients said no. I explained, I spent 1 hour with them. I could have easily made more money by selling, glasses and contact lenses. But if you're aiming for something good, it's said, right, Amazon today, being $1 billion company, is still in loss because they said they are putting all the money in research and, the future of the products. So yes, you might not see money on day one, but if you're investing in something which is the future, you should ready to look out for what are you gaining in the long term versus the short term. So they're talking about optometry practice, right? Okay, all the clinical stuffs, you have learned about it, but what have been the challenges in terms of managing? Because I know after I took my MBA course that I felt, oh my God, I wish I knew this when I was practicing or doing something. How has business aspect of optometry practice been for you? Any tips there?
Oh, I lack there. So I'm not the right person to give you tips. I cannot manage people because I'm a person who thinks from heart, not from the brain.
Okay.
And that somehow doesn't work. If I had the skill to manage people, I would have grown by leaps and bounds. That is my weak spot you've touched upon. I cannot manage people.
But that's good to know that even though you feel that is a weak spot, that's something we all look up to, and we are all looking forward to see how can we have multiple optometry clinics, something that you have been started and been, holding this fort for optometry clinic for years now. And we still just, have like few clinics out there which we can count on fingers versus chains and chains of optometry practices.
Yeah, there is a good scope in optometry, provided we open optometry clinics.
Yes, absolutely. Now we're going to jump into the fun segment. We did learn and talk after taking you through that weak spot of yours and touching that. I'm going to try and make this a fun conversation, which I had promised earlier when we actually decided to do this podcast. So I'm going to dive into my fun segment, which I like to call rapid fire. Simple rule. Yeah. I'll ask you questions. You have to answer whatever thing comes first in your mind. Okay. So it's going to be very simple, non-controversial conversation. So are you ready for this?
Yes, let's go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. If you were not an optometrist, which other profession do you see yourself in?
Interior design.
Interior designing?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know this. Okay, this is good. Which is your favorite destination?
Difficult question.
It's a rapid fire.
Next on my list.
First thing that
next on my list is London. Next
London.
on my list is London.
Okay. Rank in the order of preference: teaching, research, entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship, teaching, and research maybe last round. That's
Last
something that
one.
I don't know.
Still, you're publishing papers and writing white papers.
No, I'm not. I am not. Actually, those are my students' papers, and they are kind enough to add my name to it. But
You're
yes, in the recent past, we've done a very interesting study, and for some reason, we are yet to publish the results, but they will soon come out. It's pertaining to orthopediology.
interesting. Good to know. One habit of others that annoys you the most.
I prefer people to be sincere. So if anybody is not sincere, it really gets into my nerves.
Okay. Your hobby when you are not doing anything related to optometry.
Watching movies.
Okay, which
I
is the
can
latest.
watch. I can watch them 24 hours.
Okay, your favorite movie or last movie that you watched.
Favorite movie is Sholay. Last movie is some movie named Cash.
Okay.
You really don't need brains to see that movie, but it's a good movie. It gets you back into demonetization.
Interesting. Okay, I have to check that movie too.
Yeah.
Okay, if you were to interview someone, dead or alive, who would that be?
Rajni Turakia, my role
And,
model in optometry.
and what would the question be for him?
How can people be as successful as you are? What is the secret of your success?
Oh, interesting. I'm glad that you're not asking successful people this question right away. Okay. If we were to write an autobiography about your journey, what do you think the title would be?
My life. Simple.
My life. I actually had an answer already for it. I wanted it to be Mr. Optometrist. I just love that
Oh,
name.
awesome. Awesome.
I'm asking this question, but I am going to tell you the answer. All right. And last question. If there was one thing that you would like to add or change in optometry curriculum, what would that be?
Visit to private optometry setups. That should be a mandatory visit for every optometrist before graduation. As a student, I had this field visit to optical blank manufacturing company. And that is where I learned how griptops are manufactured and how bifocals are manufactured. And no amount of theory could teach me what I saw in half an hour. Then there was another field visit to Therapy operations in Chennai, as the
Right.
therapy I mentioned. And we spent about 2 hours with him. So there were questions like, people don't even know optometry. So why should we become an optometrist? How would people tomorrow recognize us as doctors or opticians? And the answers that he gave, they are still etched in my heart. So people inspire you, and those inspirations actually go a long way in what you will become eventually.
Right.
And unfortunately, that is lacking in our optometry curriculum, field visits. So every meeting, wherever they have called me for the common minimum optometry curriculum, and even later, I always stressed on this aspect that people need to see successful optometrists. Only then they can dream of becoming successful optometrists, independent optometrists.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this was a great thing, and I'll definitely add into it that we need to see, because all we see all the time is industry people coming into schools and colleges. Then we are posted in hospitals where we see more clinical side of practice, and we feel, okay, this is the space where I can actually practice what I've learned. And then you would see an optical. We haven't, or at least I have not seen or I haven't even visited, maybe yours, Prasad sir's, at least the few I know. I haven't seen or visited any optometry clinic myself in my optometry career back in India. So I can totally relate to it that all I had dreamt or thought of, okay, I have to either open an optical, work in an optical, or if you're in academics, stick to your school and college where you can teach, or go to hospitals. Those were literally the three options laid out. Though I'm studying for optometry, I was never dreaming of opening an optometry clinic.
See, that is because you did not see a successful
Yes,
optometry practice.
yes,
I
absolutely.
was lucky to see my seniors practice, in Chennai. And
Right.
that is one practice I would encourage everyone to go and visit. And
Uh,
this
the
started in 1991, Practicing Reiki, Spectrum Eye Care.
Spectrum Eye Care. Okay, perfect. So this is really insightful and great. I have to say that I wish I knew this 10 years ago, I would say. But it's not so late, and I'm glad, and I'm hoping that this will reach out to all those fresh graduate new students. It doesn't matter, if you're able to reach out to say Yashwant sir or go to Spectrum Optics or whoever, practice. Just aim to start an optometry practice. And if you aim or plan to do that, I know especially me myself have tried, reaching out to people and they were super helpful. If you are trying to do something, everybody in the eye care industry is going to help and support you to guide you. So it's okay if you don't go, but if you plan or if you dream, just reach out to me, Yashwant sir, or anyone that you know, and I'm sure people will help you for that. And I think you did fantastic in a rapid fire round. Not that crazy, I'm sure. So with that, I just want to like to take your final advice or your takeaway message for all the listeners.
Well, final advice is don't think about joining an optical shop or ophthalmology practice. Always think about starting your independent optometry practice. In fact, one advice which I wanted to give to the recently formed Maharashtra Optometry Association is I wanted a committee being constituted which will help people in starting their private optometry setup. Now, everywhere, every conference, every meeting, people want to, how to crack this code, how to make optometry popular in India. Well, optometry cannot be made popular in India till the time we have ample number of private optometry setups.
Right.
So I would be happy when we have decent numbers of private optometry setups and people would actually go to optometrists for their eye examination.
With that, thank you so much once again, sir, for your time, especially Monday morning. I know how busy your day and your week is, but I really appreciate you doing it with all my pushback of like, can we do it? Can we do it? I really appreciate you getting on the call.
Thank you so much for having me.